Traditional Chinese medicine originated in ancient China. It is rooted in the ancient philosophy of Taoism and dates back more than 2,500 years. Traditional Chinese medicine encompasses many different practices, including acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, moxibustion, Tui Na, dietary therapy, Tai Chi, and Qigong. The Chinese medical therapy that is probably best understood in the West is acupuncture. Needles are placed into precise locations on the body, known as acupuncture points. According to the traditional Chinese explanation, illness results from the blockage of the flow of energy, or qi, through the body. According to this tradition, the use of acupuncture helps to open up the flow of qi and restore balance to the system.
Just as a garden needs water to stay healthy, the body needs the proper flow of energy and blood to vital organs. If you try to water a garden with a water hose that had a blockage that prevented water from getting through, then the plants in that garden would die. It is very much the same with your body. If blood and energy cannot flow freely to all the areas of your body, you would experience illness and perhaps pain. Acupuncture and Chinese medicine treat health problems by finding the blocks to normal blood and energy flows and releasing these blocks.
For most modern Americans, they will start the history of acupuncture in 1971 when President Nixon's Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, traveled to China accompanied by a journalist for the New York Times. The reporter, named James Reston, was treated for acute appendicitis. After emergency surgery, Reston received acupuncture treatments and was amazed at its positive benefits. When he returned to the U.S., he wrote about his experience. This article is widely regarded as the first introduction of Chinese medicine to the general American public. But what James Reston didn't know is that in 1966, a young Chinese doctor, Miriam, immigrated to the United States and quietly started the conflict that would lead to the legalization of acupuncture in California and set a precedent for the rest of the United States.
When I first came to California, acupuncture was illegal. I worked on an assembly line and attended church, building a life for myself in this country where my medicine was against the law.
There was a young Chinese man with a PhD from Stanford who was the son of a member of her church. He had had a tumor removed from his spine, and after the operation, he could not walk. Dr. Lee told his mother that acupuncture could help and went to him every other day. With treatment, he began to walk and was able to get a job.
The mother then sent me an American lady. She worked in a restaurant and could not raise her arm to carry the trays. After one treatment, she was free of pain. She sent a friend who had low back pain for 6 years. After 3 days, she told me she had gone home after the treatment and had scrubbed every corner of her house. She had cleaned for 17 hours and her back did not hurt.
Many people began to come for treatments to her house. They came up the back staircase, and at one point there were so many people waiting on the stairs to get in, the staircase broke. By 5 a.m., there were 4 or 5 people waiting in their cars to get in. Dr. Lee saw about 80 patients a day. She had 4 beds for those who had to lie down. People in wheelchairs were treated in the bathroom. Those who could sit, she treated in the waiting room. Since 1971, the year that acupuncture fever caught on in the U.S. after President Nixon's China trip, the American Medical Association had worked on acupuncture legislation in each state, trying to limit the use of acupuncture only to licensed medical doctors. However, there was not any actual Western medical school teaching medical doctors acupuncture, as there were so few medical doctors truly interested in performing acupuncture. At that time, the American Medical Association's true agenda was to put acupuncture into a legal cage and not allow its practice by anyone, which essentially deprived the practice rights of acupuncturists or Oriental medicine practitioners. In fact, acupuncturists in the U.S. almost completely lost space for their profession. Many states, such as New York, California, New Jersey, and Kansas, announced that it was illegal for acupuncturists to treat patients. The authority of New York forced a newly opened acupuncture clinic in Manhattan to shut down. Many acupuncturists were arrested due to practicing medicine without a license. In 1974, in California, there were still many arguments in the public regarding the legalization of the practice of acupuncture. Dr. Andrew Lewin, MD, was one of the advocates of acupuncture. He stated in his article in the Western Journal of Medicine in 1974 that if acupuncture can be proved safe and efficacious in the treatment of certain diseases, lack of knowledge regarding its mechanism of action should not delay its incorporation into our medical armamentarium. However, there were others who were against legalizing acupuncture. One of them was Jean Orgod. Orgod stated in the article in UC Davis Law Review in 1974,
"The unproved therapeutic value of acupuncture, the risk of medical complications, and the potential delay of diagnosis of serious illness support the conclusion that, to protect the public from the risk of useless or harmful treatment, the state should restrict the practice of acupuncture by non-physicians."
In addition, according to Dr. Jared Looney's letter to the editor at the Western Journal of Medicine 1974, it seems there was a law firm involved trying to stop a court decision to allow acupuncture done by non-physicians.
I have just learned of the efforts of a law firm in San Francisco to contact many of the physicians in this state to enlist their support in a suit against the Board of Medical Examiners and the Attorney General of the State of California, seeking a court decision to allow the use of non-MD acupuncturists. While I do not question the motives of these attorneys or their clients, the cover letter and the draft complaint, which are being circulated, raise some questions which I think must be carefully considered by both plaintiffs and defendants, as well as those who are so far uncommitted or uninvolved. The answers to these questions have major implications for the practice of medicine and the utilization of acupuncture in the United States.
On April 15, 1974, Governor Reagan vetoed a bill legalizing the practice of acupuncture in California. Dr. Lee was arrested for practicing medicine without a license the next day.
The police came at 6:45 a.m. when I already had 10 people in the office. I had to take the needles out and let them go. Some had driven a long way to be treated, including one from 4 hours away.
When Dr. Lee appeared at the hearing, over 100 of her patients, which even included the residing judge's wife, showed up, leaving the court officials not knowing how to deal with them. Day after day, patients returned to protest being denied access to the only medicine that had helped them, and to insist that they had a right to choose to be treated with acupuncture. News of the widespread of support she received drew attention from the state legislature, convincing many that the subject of acupuncture was an urgent social and cultural issue, as well as a medical one. Responding to pressure from the public outcry and actions by the state's acupuncture society, within a few days, acupuncture was legally made an experimental procedure by Governor Reagan. Dr. Lee was granted the right to see patients at San Francisco University. 2 years later, Governor Jerry Brown signed the legislation that once and for all formally legalized the practice of acupuncture in California. The FDA got on board in 1996, and 2 years later, the National Institute of Health approved acupuncture as a medicine. The first acupuncture school in the U.S. was established in 1975, and there are approximately 50 acupuncture schools and about 20,000 licensed acupuncturists in the U.S. California and New York contain over 50% of these acupuncturists. In California, there are 8,152 acupuncturists, and in New York, there are 2,869. The Acupuncture Association of America was founded in 1980 and run by Lee until her retirement. Its purpose was to promote public acupuncture education, provide education for practitioners, engage in legislative advocacy, and promote acupuncture research. After Dr. Lee obtained her OMD from the San Francisco College of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine on June 10, 1984, Dr. Miriam Lee went on to become the acupuncture teacher of more than 70% of practitioners working in California. After she passed away in 2009, on December 9th, many acupuncture clinics offered 1 day of free acupuncture treatment to patients in order to honor Dr. Miriam Lee, who was a pioneer in legalizing the practice of acupuncture in California.